The session is officially being recorded. Can I please ask that if your microphone is on, if you can just mute it? I'll also do it from my side. So if your microphone is on at any given time, either by mistake, you can just mute it so that we don't have constant disruptions. So as discussed yesterday, today we're going to officially start our session of introduction to South African law. But before we start, as we all know that in South Africa, we have the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, 1996, which is actually the one that holds our country together. I know everybody obviously knows that. It is one of the very important books that each and every law student should have. I have mine, so if you don't have the Constitution, I plead with you, please, 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 go and get yourself one. They are free at any magistrate court that is close to you. They can always give it to you, or you can buy it. I bought mine 80 Rand at Juta. So please get yourself the Constitution. So before we're going to start with we're going to discuss the Constitution briefly, because all of our sessions, they will involve the Constitution one way or the other. So if you do have the copy of your Constitution with you, or if you have read the Constitution previously, I would like to know from you what it is that you know about the Constitution. Why is this document important? Let's start from there. Anyone, if you want to give it a shot, you can either raise your hand and then you can take it away. The floor is yours. Anyone? Okay, I see no one wants to give it a shot, but I'm sure you all know that the Constitution is, so in South Africa, we have something called constitutional supremacy. So that means that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So we are studying law. So we know that we have laws like for almost everything, but there is no law that is over and above the Constitution. You will see almost every day there's cases that are being taken to court. Sometimes you hear people talking about my constitutional right has been violated. So when we talk about the Constitution, we talk about a very, very powerful document that if any of the laws that are in the legislation that have been found to be inconsistent with the Constitution, those laws are deemed to be invalid. It doesn't matter what law it is, as long as it violates any of the constitutional, any of the Constitution, it's going to be invalid. It can be removed immediately. So let's start from the chapter 1 of the Constitution. I'm going to read this for you, but the rest you can just read it yourself. I don't want to waste too much time on the Constitution, because it's a document that you're going to have to keep probably for the rest of your career. So in chapter 1 of the Constitution, that is where we found the founding provisions. So you can take note of that. It's very important. So it actually lays the background of South Africa. It lays it's like a foundation of what South Africa is standing on, because without the constitution, I don't think we're going to have a country. Without the constitution, I feel like we're going to be stuck in the past, because like previously, before 93, we didn't have a constitution. The powers of South Africa were the laws were passed by parliament. As long as they were the parliament had followed the right directions to pass those laws, then everything worked for them. But then in 1993, we had the interim constitution, and then now we have the 1996 constitution. So anyway, let's go back to chapter 1 of the constitution, where we find the founding provisions. It's very important that you go through this. It talks about human dignity, non-racialism, non-sexism. It also, subsection C talks about the supremacy of the constitution and the rule of law, which is very, very important. And then the other important part of the constitution is chapter 2 of the constitution. And chapter 2 of the constitution contains the Bill of Rights. So that is from section 7 until section 39. So you can take note of this as well. Section 7 explicitly talks about rights. Section 8 is the application of the Bill of Rights. The most important that we always hear of is the one of equality, which is section 9. I do believe that most of you know about that, or you have heard about it, or you've obviously read about it, because there has been a lot of cases. There has been a lot of cases on equality. So section 9 of the constitution is very important. That one, I would say, please memorize it, print it out, put a sticker in front of your desk and know it. So I'll just go through section 9, subsection 1. It says, everyone is equal before the law and has the right to equal protection and benefit of the law. So when it says everyone, you know, as lawyers, please, if I'm speaking too fast, please stop me. I know I talk too much and I tend to run through things. So if I'm very fast for you, please, you are more than welcome to stop me and be like, hey, slow down. We're trying to take some notes. So section 9, subsection 1 says everyone is equal before the law. So what that exactly means when they say everyone, it includes, it means everyone that lives in South Africa. So as law students, or let me say prospective legal practitioners, you will understand that in court they like to play around words, like the meanings of words. It's very, very important as a law student that you understand the meaning of words. I'll give you an example with this section that I just cited for you now, the one that says everyone. So when it says everyone, it means everybody that lives in the country. It means even an illegal immigrant who doesn't have documentation, they are also equal before the law. So you need to be very, very careful when you write maybe your essays or something like that, that you are able to defend the meaning of your words, or when you say something, you are able to say, okay, this is what I meant, because words usually have multiple meanings. So that was section 9, subsection 1. The rest, guys, please read it by yourself. And then there's section 10, human dignity, section 11, that is right to life. These are all the terms that you're going to be hearing of possibly until the end of your careers. And then there's another very important section. Let's jump to section 36. I would like to know from you guys, this is, if you've ever heard of section 36, usually referred to as the limitation clause. Anyone ever heard of the limitation clause? Okay. So I will, no hands. Okay. The limitation clause means that as much as everyone is equal before the law, as much as we all have our rights that we like to waive, obviously, like I have right to this, I have right to that. Those rights can be limited, but they can't just be limited. There has to be a certain situation that will raise to the limitation of rights. There is a perfect example that happened recently. I don't know if anybody wants to try it. It's something that happened probably around the world. 2020, guys, come on, help me. Anyone wants to give it a try?
Is it COVID?
Yes, that is COVID. So do you want to also give it a try? What rights were limited during COVID?
Choice, right to choice.
Yeah, that's true. Another example?
Freedom.
Yes, freedom of movement.
Oh, I wanted to comment on right of movement because we were restricted to go everywhere, to go around.
Yes. Yeah. So you will see that. Thank you so much, guys, for helping me there. Now I'm more comfortable because I do feel like I'm not alone. Okay, cool. So now we know that our rights can be limited, and sometimes we don't have a choice because, like what happened in 2020, everything was fine, everything was going fine, and then all of a sudden the president goes up there and be like, look guys, you're not allowed to go wherever, you have to wear a mask, so that was also like a limitation of our rights, because now we can't move around without a mask. You have to wear a mask when you're going to the shop. You have to sanitize before you go inside the shop. So that is the limitation of rights. For people who smoke, they couldn't smoke, those are the perfect examples of the limitation of rights. So section 36 is very, very important. And then please read on it. And then we have section 39. Who knows about section 39? Section 39 is very important to us as prospective legal practitioners, because section 39 is the one that tells us how to interpret the Bill of Rights. So section 39 is called the interpretation clause. So let's say, for example, when they say on the exam, they say discuss section 39 of the Constitution, you will know that they want you to discuss the interpretation clause, which actually outlines that when interpreting the Bill of Rights, a court, a tribunal, or a forum must promote the values that underlie an open and democratic society based on human rights, human dignity, equality, and freedom. And then subsection B goes on to say that a court must consider international law and may consider foreign law. So who can give me an example, or who can tell me the difference between international law and foreign law? Just from your general knowledge, there is no right or wrong answer. We can
assume.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I assume that international law is a law that is accepted in every country, whereas foreign could be probably could refer to a particular country.
Yeah, that is a perfect answer. So thank you. What's your name? Sorry?
Peace.
Peace. Okay.
Peace.
Okay, thank you. So you're right. International law is the laws that usually binding for all countries, right? And then foreign law is, let's say, for example, when they say it, the courts must consider. So when you're working as a lawyer, you obviously have to, when you're looking at the sources, we're still gonna talk about the sources of South African law. It does include international law. So whenever you're dealing with a case, you must look at the international laws and say, oh, okay, so what does the international law say? And then when you're talking about international laws, we're talking about something like United Nations, you know. They have laws on human rights, that are binding internationally, as opposed to foreign laws. So when we're talking about foreign laws, we're talking about laws for other countries, not binding. They wouldn't be binding for South Africa. Let's say, for example, Nigeria. The courts can consider those laws if they're possibly out of options. They can look, they're going to be persuasive, like look at, okay, there was a certain case like this in Nigeria and this is how they dealt with it. But it's not gonna be, it's not a must, like as opposed to international law. So does anyone have a question before I close the chapter of the Constitution? So I just wanted to give you an idea of the Constitution, as to what the Constitution is, and how and the importance of the Constitution. But please, you must go and read on the Constitution. And before I move away from the Constitution, let me just move away from the Constitution, but I have a question. Does anyone know who makes the laws? Anyone want to give it a
The
try?
parliament.
Parliament, yes, that's correct. Parliament makes the laws. And does anyone know who enforces the law? But on this particular question, the answer is actually given away. Like, who enforces the law? It's the
Government.
police, right? Yeah? It's the police. The police, they enforce the law. You ever heard of the term law enforcement? And then who applies the law? Who puts the law to work and interprets the law? Yes, Chief Yua?
Presiding officers, magistrate,
Yes.
and the judges.
Yes, that's correct. So that takes us to the point that I was trying to make. So in South Africa, we have something called separation of powers, right? So what that means is that we have three arms of government that do not interfere with each other. So those three arms of government, we have the legislative authorities, which is the parliament. The parliament will make the laws. And then we have the judicial authority, which is the courts, the judges that apply the law. And then we have the executive. The executive is led by the president. It is the one that has the departments that enforces the law. So this is very, very important. You will hear this term a lot. It's called separation of powers. It has, there is a Latin name for it. I forgot the Latin name, but when you check it, you will, it's called trias politica. So whenever you see that term, they like to bring it up on the exams as well and say, discuss the doctrine of trias politica or separation of powers. They will be talking about the legislative authorities, the judicial authority, and the executive authorities. So you must know that the executive, it's that cabinet that is led by the president. And then the judicial authority, it's that section of the government. All these bodies are independent. That is, the judicial is the one that is led by the chief justice, who is currently, I think it's Raymond Zondo. And then we have the legislative authorities, which is Parliament, which is the one that makes that makes the laws. And who can give it a try as to why do we have this separation of powers? Why can't we just have just one body that makes the laws, applies the laws, and enforces the laws? Why do you think that it's separated the way that it is? Anybody want to give it a try? Anyone? Just
I guess for accountability and for, what do you call it? What do they call it? Double checking as to avoid autocracy, something like that.
Yes, like for checks and balances and to avoid, in South Africa, we have a lot of corruption. I think you have to look at that angle. So just imagine if Cyril Ramaphosa was the one who made the laws, who applies the laws, and then at the same time enforce the laws. So it gives that person so much power that the entire country will be voiceless. The entire country we're obviously going to be helpless. We're not going to be able to defend ourselves. So if, for example, another perfect example, we have a lot of perfect examples in South Africa. We're a very interesting country. Another perfect example will be, do you think that if, like for example, with the ongoing case for Jacob Zuma, if we had one person with this entire power, or let's say, for example, if Jacob Zuma and Cyril Ramaphosa were in good terms, and then we have Cyril Ramaphosa there, he's the one that makes the laws, enforces them. Do you think the Constitutional Court would have made that decision to send him to jail? No. It wouldn't have been like that. We would be in this country that everybody just wants to escape. So that's the reason why we have separation of powers, is to have proper checks and balances. And these arms of government, they don't interfere with each other. Well, I don't know how far true is that, but theoretically or practically, they're not supposed to interfere with each other. That's why even in the lawmaking process, you find that there has to be proposals like green papers, white papers sent to Parliament, sent to the president for consent, for signing and all that. So it becomes a very, very exhaustive process that because of the independence of these arms of government that we have, they don't interfere with each other. They have different leaders and they are all capable of their jobs. So do we have any questions with regards to the separation of powers? I just had to throw it in there because I think it's very important and you guys will be seeing that a lot or hearing about it a lot.
So So if I realize that the Chief of Justice, for example, is compromised, like in my country, there have been a few cases where we knew that he's compromised, in the favor of the president. As a lawyer, can I challenge that? Is there hope for such?
Of course, you can, because now that takes us to the Constitution. Obviously, you can, as long as you have facts and you can prove, you can challenge that based on the fact that you can see that maybe there is how am I going to put it? I don't know what example I'm going to use, but if you see that he is obviously in favor of the president because they work together. So these people, they're not supposed to work together at all. And the president is not supposed to interfere with what they're doing, or to order them or tell them what they need to do, because they're a separate institution. So it is possible. I wouldn't know where are you from?
Namibia.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't know what the process is, but I know that here in South Africa, the process will be, maybe if whatever that they're doing is unconstitutional, then it will be taking the matter to the Constitutional Court to see if whatever that they're doing is invalid or inconsistent with the Constitution, and then obviously it would have violated the rights of many. That is a crime on its own, because the separation of powers, it also gives back power to the people to say, okay, if this person is not doing their job well, then we can be able to remove them. I'll give you an example with there is a trial that is going on right now for the public protector. Busisiwe Mkhwebane, she's getting impeached. I'm really not following that story, but it's one of those things. Any questions, guys? Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so since you know that we are using Zoom and there is like a 40-minute limit, so what I can do is that if there is still more things to cover, then we will obviously extend or restart the session. I don't know how it's going to work, but we can try that. So let's start from the beginning. From your study guide, you will see the first question is, what is law? And I know that that is a question that I think everybody wants to know. You might obviously know what law is, but yeah, let's start from there. That is a very hot topic today. So who can give it a try? It's there on your textbook, and then I did post a copy of the textbook, but I know it's the newer version. I'm using the newer version, which now has an additional name of the editor, which is Tshepo Mahlengos, but it's the same textbook. The contents are the same, the difference might be the page numbers. So who wants to give it a try, to give me the definition or what law refers to?
Would you like the textbook definition or just the understanding, like own words?
Give me in your own words.
Okay. No, I was not saying I'm going to give it to you. I was asking.
Well, you are on the spot. Take the floor.
No, all right. No, I think law is just a way of regulating how people can interact with each other, like in terms of like relationships, from relationships, anything that you can think of where there is more than one person, whether it's a commercial relationship, or it's a personal relationship. It basically guides what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, and also states the consequences that accompany an unacceptable act.
Yeah, that's actually a good definition. Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone else want to try it? Come on, guys.
Maybe a body of rules that helps to keep order in a society, a community.
Yeah, that's a good answer too. So normally that question, I'm not sure how many marks does it usually comes with. So I think all the answers are correct. I would also say it refers to a body of rules or regulations that facilitate and regulate human interaction, because like if you look at it, I think as humans we need laws, otherwise I think we'll be doomed, you know, if we don't have any laws. So we need laws in order to function as a society, and I feel like laws give us certainty and stability, you know, in our communities, you know. So we've already spoke about how these rules are enforced. So in a nutshell, so these rules are enforced by the employees of the state, such as the police, the traffic police. They're the ones that enforces the rules and the laws. So we've also spoke about the three arms of government, the legislative authorities that makes the laws, the judicial that applies the laws, and the executive that enforces the laws. So who can tell me what they understand about the term sanction? I can see your hand is up, Nozi.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, if we get a question like that, like what is law, in an exam or in a nice assignment.
Yeah.
Now we've got the textbook definition. How best do we answer that? Can we take the textbook, because we obviously will have the study guide and the textbook in front of us if it's an assignment.
Yeah.
If we then take parts of the definition, do we rephrase it in our own words and then say where we got that answer? Because obviously it would have originally come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And do we reference where, even though we've used our own words, so we've read, we've understood, and then we've put it in our own words?
Okay, that's a very, very good question, and I'm very happy that you raised the referencing issue. We're going to, I think maybe this week or the coming week, we're going to have a session that is dedicated to referencing. So when you answer that question, for me, the way I would answer it is I would use a combination of maybe the textbook and the study guide, right? Or I'll just use the textbook and reference the textbook. But remember, you will have to, you can't take it like that, especially with study, especially when it comes to assignments or take home test or exams. If you're going to write it at home, you're going to have to reference, but you also cannot use it the way that you took it from the textbook. They're going to give you a 0, and they love that. So if you take it from the textbook, paraphrase it, make it your own, although you have made it your own, but you must know that it is not your own. It's from the textbook. No matter how you paraphrase it, even if you change word to word, you're still going to reference it because that definition is not yours. So it's very, very important. So only cases whereby you won't be asked to reference is when you're doing a sit-down test at those exam venues. Then you're not going to reference because you don't have the textbook in front of you. But if you have the textbook, then you will have to reference. Does that answer your question, Nozi?
Yes, thank you. I'm covered.
Okay, all right. And then you will see from the learning outcomes that I put on this. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Oh, okay. So you will see from the learning outcomes that I put, you're going to be able to motivate or to distinguish between what is law and what is meant by the concept of law and the rule of law, which is the same thing basically. And then the concepts of law and morality. So who can tell me when we talk about morality, what is it that we're talking about? Just a try.
Okay, I'll try. It's what is morally acceptable according to a certain group. Like it varies from person to person. What is morally acceptable is not the same for everyone.
Yeah.
And you can't always use morality to, say something. So law versus morality is law is law, and it applies to everyone. Morality only applies to, it's subjective. It applies to a certain group of people that believe in something.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a good thing that you're taking it there. So that takes us to religion, individual morality, and the community morals. So all these, like the religion, it's belief; individual morality, it's belief; community morals, is belief. But those things, they do influence the law in a certain way. How do you think the religion influences the law? Does anyone want to try? I want you guys to be able to talk and to be able to answer any questions. It doesn't matter, there is no right or wrong answer. This also gives you a platform where you are confident and you are able to say something, even if you are not sure, even if it's incorrect. But from my view, there is nothing that is incorrect. As long as you try, it also boosts your confidence. So when we're talking about religion, we're talking about what people believe in. We have different kinds of religion, and I will say I might be wrong, but I would say that in South Africa we have Christianity, and it does look like Christianity is dominating in South Africa. Sorry guys, this thing will shut off now. So I will see what happens. So if it does shut off, it says less than a minute. If it does shut off, then I will restart the session. If it means that I have to create a new link, I'll just create it and post it on the group. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah, it says less than a minute. I have to sort out Teams, but Teams is giving me problems. I'm not so sure why. So